let's get right into the Jez Corden article. Now, again, this is no beef with Jez. I love the work that he does, but I 1000% disagree with this headline. And he basically says, and I quote, Xbox has become a Game Pass machine. Is it enough to justify Microsoft's console? Well, that's a question that we're going to tackle, Jamie Moran, because again, I will add this story with a link. So if you'd like to read it from start to finish, you can in fact do it. But I 1000% disagree with this article because, at least for me, I think that when you want to have a surface conversation where it has no context and it's as simplistic as possible, you can start with, well, Xbox Game Pass would be the reason why I'm subscribed, right? Because of the value proposition. And you wouldn't be wrong for having that conversation, Jamie Moran, in chat. You just wouldn't, because quite frankly, the amount of games that you get for your service is unmatched. Nintendo service is emulation of old games, and that's it. You get to play games, and I'm excited for it. Folks, I know you're probably gonna make fun of me for saying this. You know how often I play Wave Race 64? Like, why do I play that game when there are so many games that have better water physics, that are on jet skis? Because I love Nintendo, good, bad, or otherwise, and there are a bunch of a-holes at Nintendo, especially what they're doing with Pocket Pair and Pal World. But I like Nintendo because I started when I was 15 with my first Nintendo, and I haven't looked back. I don't apologize for that. Sony's service, we know, it's okay, right? Like, it does occasionally get a new game in there, but not really so much from first party. As a matter of fact, when they do put their first party games in there, they are very old, and you know what? Some of them even get removed on a regular basis, which is kind of really crummy, especially when they try to sell it back to you in a remaster, right? So that kind of sucks. So again, from the surface level, ladies and gentlemen, sure, Xbox Game Pass, awesome. Why? Value, inherent value. Hard to argue what you get in Xbox Game Pass. But at least for me, Jamie Moran, I think that's the surface. And I think there is a lot of layers to this. You and I were having a conversation in the green room regarding why have Xbox hardware. Well, let's just start off with the most simplistic one from Mr. BoomStick XL. And I'm going to challenge anyone that says, well, Boom, just buy a PC or get a pre-built. It's not that big of a deal. No big deal with updates. And listen, here's the thing, folks. I can get a $5,000 rig today, made from the ground up with the best of the best of the best. And you know why I don't do that? One, because we're saving for our first home. So obviously priorities, or hashtag priorities. But more so, I don't give a flying shit about PC gaming. I just don't. I understand that you can get your games cheaper. I understand that you can get games that are not available. But that is why the idea or the ideology of Xbox's next piece of hardware, incorporating the best of PC, but keeping it for people like me and people like you. I know there's a lot of people in this chat that are looking forward to next generation hardware because, yes, it is going to be powerful. Yes, it's going to potentially allow for, good old games and Epic Game Store, and more importantly, Steam. You better download all your Steam library and buy games directly from there, put it on your Xbox and go. That's the future. And that is why the next piece of hardware is probably going to be a bit pricey. We've already talked about that many times before. But even more than that, it is going to appeal to people like me who understand PC gaming, Jamie Moran, but do not want any part of it. So when Jez alludes to it, well, I don't know why you'd have an Xbox when you can just have a PC. I don't get that. What? Let's talk about that for a second.
I mean, I'll get it out of the way quickly before I continue with what we're talking about. PC gaming isn't for me. I think PCs, like, you have access to basically every game that's ever been made. Via emulation or whatever. It's like, you have mods and all that stuff. You have actual, like, proper ray tracing, path tracing, which is like next level stuff. And like, I play one game on PC basically that isn't even on console, right? And I don't think this game could even go to console. So, like, that's why I play that one game there. I don't like gaming on PC. It's not for me. But, like, I'm a console gamer. I've played consoles my entire life. I I gravitate. I used to be a PlayStation guy back in the day before Xbox was a thing. And then the second that original Xbox came out, and it had that controller that was so large, it had its own gravitational pull. I loved it, right? I loved the offset thumbsticks. I loved the fact that it had this thing called a hard drive and you didn't need a memory card, right?
There
It
you
was
go.
like, it was a new thing for me, the fact that you could burn your CDs onto the console and then use it during WWF Raw for your entrance music, right? That was like mind blowing at the time, right? And like, I gravitated from being a PlayStation fan back then to being an Xbox fan. And then they came out with more features over years, like Xbox Live and Party Chat, and then with the 360 achievements and all that stuff. So, like, over time, like, I've been engrossed in the Xbox ecosystem. I know how it works. I know basically everything about the Xbox ecosystem at this point. And I gravitate towards Xbox because of their games. They have, because they used to be the dude bro shooter box, right? And over time, that's kind of gone away. They actually have everything. They have shooters, tactical games, flight simulator, racing games, horror games coming, all sorts. So, like, for me, it's all about the variety. I like the ecosystem. I think Xbox is way more than a Game Pass box, right? Yeah, Game Pass is great, especially in a time where a lot of publishers and Microsoft is wanting to charge $80 for games, but like, the amount of value I've had off Game Pass is bloody ridiculous, right? You get full, like, major games day one. You have big third party games launching in the service, many indie games, but you also get a lot of other bonuses as well. There's the perks. Sometimes you get like 3 or 4 months of Spotify Premium or other services. You have discounts of games, like, and I've never looked at Xbox as a Game Pass machine. Xbox is far more than that. You have backwards compatibility with over 600 360 games. Most of those games, those 600 360 games, aren't available on PlayStation or Nintendo because they don't have backwards compatibility like that. We have, I think, around 100 original Xbox games backwards compatible. We have free upgrades. Like, for me, Xbox is Xbox. It's not a Game Pass machine. And I think there's far more to Xbox than just being, subscribed to a service because, like, look, all the people that have been, saying, oh, they can't wait to play Forza on PlayStation, all this stuff, like, they had no intention of buying an Xbox. They never did, right?
Right.
They just want it. And this whole support the devs thing, they don't mean that. They mean support PlayStation. They will only buy games that are on PlayStation. They've been so engrossed in that ecosystem that they don't want to try anything else, right? So, like, that's why we see that people want the death nail on Xbox, because, like, if Xbox went away tomorrow, right, what's the landscape going to look like? PlayStation could charge $120 for whatever game they wanted.
Correct.
Like, you'd basically have one major console for major third-party releases, right? Competition would be basically gone, right? People say there's no competition at the minute. That's just dumb. Like, there would literally be no competition at the minute. You'd have IGN, GameSpot. They would not actually have anything to talk about because everything they post about is literally console war fodder. They wouldn't, you can see a post from IGN and think, okay, their rent is definitely due because they pop out with some, like, Xbox negative post. But, like, if Xbox went away, what do they post about? What do these PlayStation fans and PlayStation content creators talk about? Nothing. They can't talk about anything anymore. Do we start drumming up a war between Xbox and PlayStation? Sorry, between PlayStation and Nintendo?
Yeah,
Would
I
that
knew
be
that's
a
where you were
thing?
going. Yeah. Hmm.
And like, look, I think, Jez Corden, great guy. I like his content. Xbox and Game Pass, they do go hand in hand at the minute, right? But there's far more to Xbox than that. And that there's the built-in community. There's the fact that you have tens of millions of gamers. That's the number people forget about, right? There's tens of millions of gamers on Xbox. Tens of millions. There's not third-party publishers looking at Xbox thinking, why should I put my games on Xbox if they're putting games on PlayStation? I'll mention it. Chris String, that article was straight out of his arse. It was, right? And the fact that people went with it, it just blew my mind because there's more publishers putting their games on Xbox than ever before. You have Square Enix, even though they are taking their bloody time putting Final Fantasy games on Xbox, they are bringing more games over. Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills at this moment in time because like Xbox, they're coming out with so many cool games, right? And the only thing people can complain about is that they are putting their games on other platforms.
And that's really the crux of the conversation, my brother. There you go.
Yeah, and they aren't talking about like, oh, hey, where's this PlayStation roadmap? Why aren't they coming out with a showcase ever, right? Why do they keep diddling their fans over things like cloud saves, right? Nobody wants to talk about that stuff. We want to talk about, oh, it's the end of Xbox because how dare they put games on another platform? And you know what's worse? Let's go back almost a year and 5 months, right? Let's go back in the time machine, right? If you go back to last like January 2024 and that multi-platform talk happened and it was just Nintendo and not PlayStation, I guarantee you no one would bat a bloody eye because there's been this ingrained battle between Xbox fans and PlayStation fans and in the media for like over 2 decades, right? They do not like each other. And Xbox has had like this negative stamp on it since they came into being, right? Everyone's hated on Xbox since like the beginning, right? We've been gaming on Xbox for over 20 years. Think about that, over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Xbox has been around longer in the console business than Sega was, right? And people are still wanting Xbox out of the game. So like, yeah, the multi-platform stuff is weird. Do I think Microsoft did it at the wrong time? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm getting really good games from them. They make excellent games now, and the quality of their games has gone way up. They're making a variety of games, wide variety of games, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So, like, the fact that they put in games on other platforms doesn't really, affect me at all because more people are getting to play them. I get to game on my preferred ecosystem. I think achievements are very satisfying. I think trophies they feel like that cheap knockoff. If you go to the supermarket and you want, Kellogg's cornflakes. But
are you saying there are no frills?
Basically. And like there's something very cheap and unsatisfying about it. But maybe that's because I've just grown up with achievements. But I think that, why are people asking these questions about Xbox, right? Tens of millions of people playing the console every single day. You have, 60, 70 million people on Xbox One. We think 30, 35 million on Xbox Series consoles. People like to look at that number and think, oh, it's nothing, right? That is the most BS thing I've ever heard of because that's tens of millions of gamers there, right? Companies aren't looking at bloody like thinking not to put their games on the console because of that number. Tens of millions of gamers is still a lot of people. And people like to think that, oh, are there tens of millions of more gamers switching over all of a sudden? No, right? Yeah, you're going to have some people that move over to PC and some people that move over to PlayStation. But if people legitimately think all of a sudden there's going to be tens of millions of more people just shifting platform, they're out of their bloody mind. There's this culture war on Twitter and on YouTube and in articles and stuff about Xbox versus PlayStation. And at the end of the day, what are we really complaining about? Are we complaining about that Xbox is putting their games on different platforms? Or are we complaining about, PlayStation not doing free cloud saves? Where's their roadmap? Nobody's asking the important questions.
How about a decent showcase that lets people know what they're doing? I don't know, not for the next 5 years, but maybe in 2026.
Yeah, but nobody knows, right? And and bear in mind, Xbox has been in a bad place before where they didn't have a roadmap, and that's going to be the same thing for all these companies. But at the minute, the really important topic that people are going over right now, the thing that's the end of Xbox, isn't that they don't have enough games, is that they have too many games, and a lot of them are going to PlayStation. It makes no bloody sense, right? And consider how much all these games are costing. You have all these third-party publishers that are really looking to increase the price of their games. If you subscribe to Game Pass, you get them, right? With your subscription, right? And some people will say, I don't like renting games. boo bloody who, right? We live in an age where when you buy a game disc, it's not a physical game anymore. It's a license, right? So you don't really own your games to begin with. And most people call these games one and done anyway. You play it, you move on. Not a lot of people replay games, as I've found out recently. So it's like, what are people complaining about? Like, is Xbox a Game Pass machine? It might be for some people. But at the end of the day, is that really a bad thing? Because for me, it's an everything box, right? I watch my Blu-rays on it. I listen to my music on it. I play my Xbox 360 collection, or at least a large portion of them, my original Xbox games, right? I have more games on this one box because of backwards compatibility. I have free upgrades. Nintendo charges for backwards compatibility via a subscription service. Nobody bats an eye, right?
Nope.
Nintendo Online, can you play, Zelda Wind Waker on your Switch via just buying the game? No, you can't do that. The games you bought on your 3DS back in the day, can you play, Super Mario 3? No, you can't. You don't own that game anymore. You have to play it via a subscription. Nobody's asking the right questions. Hell, you have, Nintendo, and I like Nintendo as a company, but like you have Nintendo, they are basically telling Pal World that they can't have flying animals in their game, right? So it's like
ridiculous. Yeah.
Like people are asking the wrong questions, and console warring over. Well, there shouldn't be console warring anyway, but people are concerning about the wrong stuff. And yeah, you have these people that they hate Xbox on a daily basis. But I can tell you this, Boom, I know for a fact that there's people that on their podcasts and channels that they hate on Game Pass every single week. I know for a fact that they subscribe to Game Pass because they genuinely see value in it.
Yep, but they'll tell you otherwise live on the air. There's a lot of falsisms, if you will, going on, especially with some of the content creators. Now, again, normally we don't name the names here, but that Christopher Dring article that you brought up, what got him into trouble is he talked about it on his podcast. And again, he got in trouble. I mean, is he going to get suspended or something? No, but he got really tanked, if you will, on the socials, and he went on a blocking spree because, of course, people came at him. And again, listen, don't bully anyone, folks. Christopher Dring's an asshole, but to be bullied, I can't sign off and subscribe to that. So yeah, he's a hack of a journalist for sure, but bullying, I'm not going to sign off on. But listen, you put yourself out there. Who was it that said this? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That Fuzzy Belvedere said that. That's right. That's a Fuzzy Belvedere-ism. And I love that. And that's exactly what wound up happening. He said this, and in fact, he got trolled so much that he had to come out with a bullet point, explanation as to what he actually meant. No, don't do that. Just say what you mean. And he has a hard on for Xbox. It's been like that forever. But we have to welcome in Infinite Umbra, my brother from Chi-Town. What's going on, dude? Welcome back. Great to have you here. I know that you came in on the back end, but the question that we're asking is Xbox only an Xbox Game Pass machine? I say nay. Obviously, you've heard what Jamie, the elusive gamer, had to say, but we're interested, Umbra, to hear what you have to say.
Well, first off, good morning to both of you gentlemen, and
good morning, kind sir.
Yes. I see the Doom gameplay here. It's looking good. Yeah, I mean, I look at it a few ways, and yes, I do remember Take Him, Abdel, and he blocked me, by the way, after I called him out.
What a surprise.
Yeah, dude is soft. But anyway, I look at it a few ways. For me, for my needs, I use Game Pass as that thing, right? And I'm playing it on PC. Most of my games I'm getting from Microsoft Xbox. I don't know if that's a bad thing. So I think the way he's framing it in the article, maybe it comes off that way, and it comes off more negative than it should. But for me, that doesn't really matter. I get what I need from Xbox. So because of that, I'll never be leaving Xbox. And also, there are people who don't care for Game Pass. There are plenty who want to own their games, as they would say, right? Even though we know they don't really own the game, but people want to own their game. So it's not just for Xbox, Game Pass rather. And I think too, the argument breaks down to, well, because the way he framed it, I believe an article was, well, would I get this for the, Game Pass itself, or how did he word it? I had the article pulled up.
Yeah, I have it in front of me. Let's see. Well, here's one of the questions: why
Oh,
should
here
I
it is.
buy an Xbox?
There
Seriously,
it
is
is.
Game Pass tempting
Yeah.
enough to convince anyone to buy a Microsoft's console, especially since subscriptions have basically become flat? And he subquotes Matt Piscatella regarding his statements about subscription services maybe kind of leveling out and not increasing. But we just learned, and that's why I don't want to say it's a full statement, but it's a misguided one, because Game Pass for PC went up 45% year over year. So
Mhm.
that's still a subscription service, even though it's on PC. Now, that's not where I'm going to play, and I've already gone over why that is, but there you go.
Also, too, we don't know the future plans, right? Like, I think a lot of people are already like, "Oh, it's going to be day and date for all these." Let's say they're not. So let's say Microsoft is bringing the games to PlayStation. Now, you could sit by and wait for it to come there. There is that argument, and you can have everything as far as the main two go. You can say that. This doesn't hurt Microsoft per se, but obviously, right? But I mean, if you're a gamer and a consumer saying, "What's the best thing for me?" Well, that's something you have to decide. For
Yes.
me, most Xbox IP appeal to me, and that even goes for the things they've acquired. And that's not a fanboy statement. It's just how I feel about it when it comes to these. If I'm looking at both first party comparatively, and I'm not saying I don't like plenty of PlayStation games, but because I do, but overall, there it's always going to be Xbox. So his question was, is it enough to buy a $400 to a $600 Xbox, to get in the ecosystem? Would I buy a console with a subscription based service as its main pool, or would he just buy the console with games exclusive to his platform? So it turned from being about Game Pass to exclusivity and another exclusive
Yes.
argument. And that's where I was like, okay, but I'm so well past that. And that's the thing for me, is like I'm so well past that. The argument of, oh, exclusives, it's got to be exclusive. I don't care anymore. And again, I'm largely on PC. I haven't touched the PlayStation itself since Astrobot. I barely touched the Xbox because I'm on PC as well, but I am playing Xbox games. That's something PlayStation can't say, or I can't say for PlayStation, because they've given me nothing. And the same goes for our Hoof brothers. They just haven't been given anything. That's why Xbox is dominating right now on PlayStation. So the argument is about exclusivity, and I don't think that matters. At the end of the day, you're going to play on a platform of your choice that offers you the best for you. That could be friends being dominated or dominant on that platform.
Yep.
That could be you enjoying the features of the platform better. That could be things like quick resume, which is one of the best features in gaming. You know what I mean? And there could obviously be Game Pass. That's a positive for me. I don't have the same mindset that I used to, where it's like, well, I got to buy and own this game. And that's not to say I don't buy games anymore, because I do. Right. But what a great feeling to know that in one of the most dominant years for Xbox, as far as releases and cadence of those releases, that I will get everything as soon as it drops, if not earlier, if I decide to pay like the little, early access fee or something like that.
Right.
But I shout out to Doom being ready and available right now for that reason. And I know some people hate that practice, but I'm just saying. But how good is that feeling to know that as soon as I boot my Xbox or my PC up, that I have all the access to all of that because I'm a Game Pass subscriber. So I don't look at the argument of, oh, well, exclusives, blah blah blah. I don't care about that. I'm going to get everything I want regardless. And the same thing goes for PlayStation. I can wait for those games to come to PC. I'm in no big rush for them, right? The FOMO I would have would be tied to Xbox games largely, and because they have so many IP I love. Doom being one, Oblivion being one of the major ones on my Mount Rushmore. We got South of Midnight now that I loved. We and I'm getting, and there's no shortage of third party games coming to the platform, despite what Dring had initially stated, or at least was taken out of context for him. I'm not sure which way that was, but you see some third party publishers come out and speak against it, such as my man from the developer from BG3. So yeah, I think the argument comes down to, what do you prefer to play it on? If you're
Yes.
still arguing about exclusivity at this point, then yeah, you're going to do your head in, because you're going to be arguing, well, PlayStation games are not coming to Xbox. And I just don't care for that argument anymore, because it doesn't matter to me anymore. That's the only way I can say this. And I'm not saying it as a cope or to escape the any type of argument of exclusivity of PlayStation, but none for Xbox, and any other thing. Well, Xbox giving their games over, they're not giving their games over here, and none of that matters to me. And so it comes down to, am I getting my best bang for my buck? Does the ecosystem supply me with everything I need? Do I love the controller?
Yes.
Is the value proposition there as a consumer? Absolutely, all those things are there. So I have no complaints when it comes to that. That whole exclusive argument it just falls flat for me now, and I can't make it any more simpler than that. So I get his argument, but even if that's your argument, I don't see how it's a negative.
I mean, that's a great point of view. You guys have killed it. Very hard to even argue those points. But look, again, this isn't a slight towards Jez. This is an article that he put out there, and it's an article that a lot of us disagree with. Not because we feel the guy is being clickbaitery. We just think that his ideology from why own an Xbox is different from everybody on this panel. And like I said in the beginning, I 1,000% disagree with it only being an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate machine. Because again, Umbra brought it up perfectly. I'm sorry to tell you, folks, Quick Resume is probably one of the best features that almost always gets overlooked for Xbox. You can go from, and Jamie has done this. Jamie has done video after video after post on X of when he goes from game to game to game to game, and it's seconds. No one else can say that they do that. As a matter of fact, there was a feature like that, not really that good, but like that on PlayStation, and they removed it. So Xbox, when it comes to doing different things, like for me, it's the controller. I know you can play on PC with the same controller. I get that, but PC gaming for Umbra is where it's at. For BoomStick, it's not. And again, as I've said before, I can afford the PC. No problem. I don't want the headache. So, guys, I want to segue into Xbox hardware, because, Jamie, you said something that was super interesting that I really do think gets overlooked. We as gamers only look and talk about gaming on Xbox Series X, S, and PC, right? But we forget, and I'm included in that, we forget that there are millions upon millions of gamers still on the Xbox One and the Xbox One X and S consoles. Millions of people that are subscribed to Xbox Game Pass that are still on these consoles for one reason or another. Maybe their region of the world, it's difficult to get new hardware. Maybe in their region of the world, new hardware is last on the list of survivability, because right now this world sucks and everything's expensive, right? Especially in other regions of the world. Sometimes we have this closed-mindedness, and it's not, attacking each one of us. It's just who we are. Like, we forget that there is a subset of millions of people that still play on old hardware, which is why the Xbox Series X and S, which may not be selling now, but eventually might find their way into a lot of these gamers who are going to upgrade for something like Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think the default console of choice is PlayStation 10 out of 10 times of the conversation. I just don't, especially if you are an Xbox gamer and an Xbox gamer on old hardware who has Xbox Game Pass, who understands the ridiculous amount of value you get. So